guard, attention! Honor guard, left, turn! Honor guard, quick, off! Honor guard, outward, turn!
We would like to welcome everyone assembled here tonight to our RSL ANZAC Youth Vigil in the South. We extend this welcome to our guest speakers and special guests as follows.
The Member of Kingston, the Honourable Miss Amanda Rishworth. The Member of Raynell, the Honourable Miss Catherine Hilliard. The Member of Gona, the Honourable Mr. Chris Piction. The Member of Hurtlevale, the Member of Hurtlevale, the Honourable Miss Nat Cook. The Honourable Laura Henderson MLC. The City of Onkaparinga Mayor Moria Ware. City of Onkaparinga Deputy Mayor Mr. Dan Platten. Councillors from the City of Onkaparinga. Miss Gay Thompson, previous Member of the Parliament and inaugural support of ANZAC Youth Vigil in the South, and a special mention to her family members who have travelled to be here this evening. Mr. Brian Hollock, inaugural Crispin ANZAC Youth Vigil in the South.
Mr. Ron Payne, President RSL Morphett Vale and District Sub-Branch. Mr. Nick Miller from the Onkaparinga City Concert Band, who will play the last post and the rouse. Mr. Keith Blythe, President City of Onkaparinga Pipe Band and band members. Miss Amy Battens, District Commissioner Scouts SA. Miss Kerry Whitehead and Miss Curly Dennis, St. John's Ambulance SA. Miss Ellie Carrigan, Steed Community Leader and our youth guest speaker. Miss Alexandra Menenzes, a community leader and our youth vocalist, who will sing the national anthem, invited guests and all participating youth.
In addition, we will be joined by students and teachers of the following schools from within the City of Onkaparinga Council area: Aberfoyle Park High School, Calvary Lutheran Primary School, Cardigan College, Kura Primary School, Emmaus Catholic Primary School, Blacksmill Primary School,
Moana Primary School, Prescott College, Southern Ranella South Primary School, All Saints Catholic Primary, St. John Apostle, Southern Montessori School, Southern Vales Christians College, Woorianda Secondary School, Woodcroft Primary School and Woodcroft College. Tonight, as we commemorate 108 years of ANZACs, the youth participants forming the Honour Guards will mount guard at the memorial overnight and will hand over to Katafalki Party just before the dawn service commences. Taking time to reflect and remember those members of the Defence Forces who served in times of conflict and of those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Guard Commemorator, please stand at Honour Guard. Attention.
Honor guard, attention! Honor guard, left, turn! Honor guard, quick, off!
Say that.
Honor guard, outward, turn!
I would now like to invite Alexandra Meneses to sing the Australian National Anthem.
Australians on their tots rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soil and world fertile. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia fair. Beneath our radiant southern cross, we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this commonwealth of us renowned of all the lands. For those who come across the seas with boundless faith to share, with courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Guard Commander, please stand the honour guard at ease.
Honour guard, attention! Honour guard, left turn. Honour guard, quick march. Honour guard, left turn.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Ron Payne, President RSL Morphett Vale and District Sub-Branch, to provide the address on behalf of the State President of the RSL, Mr. David Peterson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we listen to the news media from around the world, we hear of conflicts that are affecting us on a daily basis. It's important that we acknowledge that the events in the Ukraine, the Middle East, and in our own backyard, the South China Sea, present us with the real possibility of global war again in our own very near future. Australia has become complacent regarding our defence capabilities in both fighting equipment and trained service personnel to use and maintain the equipment. Should there be an outbreak of war where our defence forces are required to be deployed, it is hoped that we have the service resources to deploy troops, Navy, Army and Air Force to wherever they are needed, but also enough to train and defend people back here in the Australian mainland. With our defence forces activated, will we still have the manpower to reinforce our deployed troops? never a policeman when you need one. Will we have National Service call-up to provide the extra service personnel that will be needed? Will we have enough experienced leaders to train all the new recruits to be combat-ready members? There may well come a time in the not-too-distant future when we will see our sons and daughters, husbands and wives being called up to help preserve and protect our great nation and our democratic way of life. As we are here today to commemorate the sacrifices of the men and women of our Australian Defence Force, let us not forget those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. They gave their all for our future. Never were truer words spoken. But we not only owe them a debt of gratitude for their sacrifice, we also owe all those who have returned home with horrific injuries of a physical, mental and emotional nature. I heard on an ABC interview a couple of days ago where a veteran said that those veterans who have PTSD are never cured of PTSD. They merely learn to manage it, some better than others. It is a fact that over a period of 100 years, we still haven't worked out how to look after our men and women who have so proudly served our nation. With all that is happening in the world today, I am concerned that we will soon see more of our brave Australian Defence Force personnel heading off on deployment in foreign lands. We need to ensure that we have sufficient support and logistics to look after our troops' needs. Whatever happens, we must always provide the best moral and material support for our Defence Forces, wherever they may be, to protect peace, freedom, democracy and our great nation, lest we forget.
We will now move into a reflective part of the ceremony, inviting our participating youth organisations to lay their hat they proudly wear with their uniform around the memorial. Once your organisation is called, please move forward to the memorial.
430 Army Cadet Unit, St. John Cadets, CFS Cadets,
Girl Guides SA, Scouts SA, Surf Lifesavers.
We would now like to invite Miss Laura Henderson, MLC, to lay a wreath.
We are grateful to have many schools participating in the Youth Vigil. As our school students come forward to lay a candle around the memorial, we ask you to listen carefully to the words of the Sapper's Lullaby, a moving song by Fred Smith highlighting the sacrifice of those who serve.
the royalty, down past the gate, out to the flight line. We stood in the sun, slouch hat and gun. There's 2 caskets passed us by. Followed the padre onto the herd, out into the pale summer sky. We walked back to Poppies and went back to work, with the dust still in our eyes. So soldiers, sing me a sapper's lullaby. You give it your all, knowing if you should fall, all good things must die. This young engineer, his job is to clear the road so we may pass. They're always out front, and when they bear the brunt, man, it happens fast. Sapper D. Smith had a wife and a son, the apple of his eye. Snowy Moreland was just 21, way too young to die. So soldiers, sing me your sapper's lullaby. You give it your all, knowing you should fall, and all good things must stop. Go call your mother, call your old man on that welfare line. Tell him you love him while you still can, 'cause all good things must die.
We would now like to invite any other members of the community who wish to show their respects to come forward and lay a token.
Guard Commander, please conduct 3-minute changeover.
All honor guard. Attention. All honor guard. Form up. Honor guard. Hey, post. All honor guard. Form up. All honor guard. Quick march.
I would now like to introduce our youth speaker, Ellie Carrigan Stid, a leader in the Southern community and a former member of Scouts SA.
Thank you. I have the honour of speaking to you all on the eve of ANZAC Day. The aspect of my life that is of most value to me is family and community. As a result of this, I have a deep desire to know my stories and family stories, community stories. This obviously makes me a naturally curious person and eager storyteller myself. Stories of ANZACs, of the war, of courage and leadership that so many people have demonstrated. Every single army or war veteran has their own stories to tell. Stories of loss, stories of love, of bravery, heartache, of courage, of hope, and of leadership. As a young person in today's society, I witness firsthand the leadership of our youth, and I find myself in awe of the fact that each and every act of leadership is different. No leaders are the same, just as no two people are the same. I pride myself in being an advocate of awareness. I find myself encouraging awareness for everybody's differences. I grew up with undiagnosed autism, and that's my story. That's my little act of leadership, of calling for awareness, calling for compassion, for kindness. I'm endlessly grateful for the people who have fought and made sacrifices for me and everybody to be standing here today. And that's one of my stories. Leaving here today, I want to acknowledge the stories of all the brave soldiers, nurses, and others who made ultimate sacrifices. I am eternally grateful, and these are stories that will never die. Thank you.
Guard Commander, please conduct the 3-minute changeover.
Honor guard. Attention. Honor guard. march. On the guard, outward, first.
I would now like to introduce our federal member of the Kingston and the Honourable Amanda Rishworth MP to address the audience.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's really wonderful that I'm able to join you tonight, and really like to start by congratulating our youth MCs. They're doing a wonderful job, and to come after Ellie, who gave such a wonderful speech of hope about how important young people are in leadership right now. I would like to also acknowledge that we meet on the lands of the Kaurna people and pay my respect to elders past and present. And of course acknowledge Mr Ron Payne, and President of the Morphett Vale RSL, and Jared Kay, Secretary. I'd like to acknowledge Callum Barrett-Walsh, Chair of the ANZAC Youth Vigil in the South. My parliamentary colleagues, Katrine Hilliard, Chris Picton, Nat Cook, Laura Henderson, and also to the Council, Moira Ware as the Mayor, as well as Councillor Dan Platten, I think I've got this right, Dan Platten, Jeff Eaton and Marissa Bell, other councillors in attendance tonight. But I would particularly like to acknowledge all those young people who have come out tonight, who will stand guard tonight, for those organisations that have supported them, and all the parents, caregivers and family members. It is a great pleasure for me to attend tonight to witness the dedication and commitment of our young people. The tradition of holding ground from dusk to dawn by young people on ANZAC Eve has become a tradition that has endured across South Australia for over 2 decades. The Youth Vigil here in the South has been held for the past 22 years. And I would like to acknowledge Gay Thompson and Brian Holacek as just two of the people that were so important in starting this very vital tradition. The importance of the Youth Vigil cannot be understated. In taking part in the tradition of holding ground, the young people here are carrying on the memory and stories of the original ANZACs and those who came after, by paying tribute to all those who fought, were wounded, or made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. Now, of course, tomorrow is the 25th of April and will mark the 109th anniversary of the Gallipoli landings on the 25th of April 1915, where over 8,700 Australian soldiers were killed during the 8-month-long campaign. Many were not older than some of the young people here holding ground here tonight. Now, the news and events in Gallipoli shaped the way we viewed our national identity and led to the 25th of April becoming a day where we remember the sacrifices made in war, but also in peacekeeping. Now, this year will mark the 110th anniversary of the beginning of World War I. Now, Australia's first casualties of World War I actually occurred on the 11th of September 1914 in Germany, New Guinea. And while Australian forces were successful in capturing the German wireless station, it was not without consequence. 7 Australians made the ultimate sacrifice during this strategic operation. Now, of course, many Australians not only have served in times of war, but have served in key peacekeeping operations. and they continue to do so around the country. And 2024 will mark the 25th anniversary of Australia's involvement in peacekeeping operations in East Timor, which was there to address the humanitarian and security crisis that took place from 1999 to 2000. This was dangerous and difficult work, and there was many who served both the East Timorese but our country. For more than a century, Australians have responded to the call to service. So tonight we gather to reflect, give thanks, and to remember all those who have served our country, along with those who continue to serve at home and abroad. We pay tribute to the sacrifices made by families, and we remember those particularly who have made this ultimate sacrifice for our nation's freedom. I would like to particularly offer my heartfelt thanks to all those members of the ANZAC Youth Vigil in the South Committee. Chair Callum Barrett-Walsh, Jared Kay and Ron Payne from the Morphett Vale RSL, as well as, of course, all those local representative community groups, sporting organisations, local schools, providing our young people with an avenue to show their leadership and to commemorate those who have served and their loved ones as well. I'd like to thank all the supporters, sponsors and wonderful volunteers who ensure the ongoing success of tonight's vigil. And finally, a special thanks to every young person standing guard here tonight. You make us proud. You make us hopeful for our future. You are the guardians of the stories of sacrifice that have gone before, and we can be clear that you will continue to honour them, lest we forget.
Guard Commander, please conduct the 3-minute changeover.
I would now like to introduce our state member for Raynell, the Honourable Catherine Hilliard, MP, to share a message with us all.
Thank you. I too acknowledge that we gather here together tonight on land that always was, that is, that always will be Kaurna land, and pay my respect to Kaurna elders past, present and future, and say thank you to those elders who generously share their 65,000 plus years of wisdom, culture and knowledge. I too acknowledge RSL Morphett Vale President Ron Payne, local members Amanda Rishworth, Nat Cook and Chris Picton, the Honourable Laura Henderson, Mayor Moira Ware, councillors, beautiful singer Alexandra Manessis, our youth hosts, every young person and their loved ones together tonight. I acknowledge beautiful youth speaker Ellie Stead, a remarkable young woman driven by her values and her desire to create a community that includes everyone. I look forward to seeing all that Ellie achieves and advances, and to encouraging her along the way. As we gather for our 22nd vigil, I thank Gay Thompson, Brian Holacek and the young people who brought this very special vigil to life through their vision and commitment to encouraging other young people to understand and to lead. Our community's capacity to collectively remember and reflect has been forever strengthened. Thank you to extraordinary ANZAC Youth Vigil Committee Chair Callum Barrett Walsh, friend and leader whose relentless compassion gives me such hope for our world. Our Youth Vigil Committee, led by outstanding young people, continues that early legacy of honouring and amplifying young people's strengths. To each of the young leaders who bring tonight's vigil to life, thank you for your community spirit, generosity, respect and leadership. It is what will ensure this vigil endures for generations to come. All strength and power to you as you empower even more young people to be involved, to together remember the thousands of Australians who paid the ultimate sacrifice for us, to stand in solidarity with those who suffer the effects of war and commit to walking alongside them, to offer gratitude to those serving today who have been there for so many Australians enduring difficult times, to amplify our prayers for peace as we see the horror of aggression unfolding overseas and as our current geopolitical situation deeply worries us all, to mourn those brutally killed much closer to home, and to gather with these young leaders tonight to contemplate what ANZAC Day means now. It is difficult to imagine what those mostly young people also contemplated as dawn approached at Gallipoli after long, cold, fearful nights in trenches so very far from home. But we do know what got them through those terrifying moments: love, kindness, courage in the face of unimaginable adversity, steadfast mateship and unwavering solidarity. Values consistently displayed by our Australian Defence Force from Gallipoli to the Pacific Theatre, Korea to Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and everywhere Australians have fought and kept the peace. Their service is indelibly shaped by that ANZAC spirit we commemorate tonight, a spirit that binds our human family. It is so important that each year we reflect upon it, and that all of you wonderful young people hold that spirit in your hearts, in your minds and in your actions, as you in turn encourage all to live the values that that spirit embodies. Thank you so much for beautifully honouring those we mourn and those who serve, and for keeping that ANZAC spirit firmly in our collective consciousness. As custodians of that spirit for the decades to come, you will pass respect for and the embracing of that spirit to future generations. Thank you for doing so. We are here for you as you engender hope and lead the way, lest we forget.
Guard Commander, please conduct the 3-minute changeover.
We would now like to welcome Mr. Nick Miller, Bugler, RSL President, to recite.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please be upstanding, if you are able to. We pause now to remember our fallen and departed comrades. They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Please be seated.
I would now like to invite the Mayor of the City of Onkaparinga, Miss Moria Ware, to the lectern to officially open the ANZAC Youth Vigil in South of 2024.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Honoured guests and attendees, good evening. My name is Moira Weir. I am the Mayor of the City of Onkaparinga, and I thank you all for being here on this beautiful evening. I'd like to acknowledge too that we are on Kaurna land and pay my respects to elders past and present and recognise this unbroken occupation of this gorgeous land for 60,000 years or more. And as we come into this land as Europeans, we also extend our respect to their place in our nation's story. We've heard all the acknowledgements, but I do want to add mine as well. To the Honourable Amanda Rishworth, the Federal Member for Kingston, to the Honourable Katrine Hilliard, the State Member for Raynell, the Honourable Nat Cook, Member for Vale, the Honourable Chris Picton, Member for Ghana, and my friends in the City of Onkaparinga, Councillor Marion Themialotis, Councillor Jeff Eaton, my Deputy Dan Platten and Councillor Marisa Bell, the RSL President, the Guard Commander and all the officials that are here today. This evening, I really thank you so much for the welcome and the opportunity to be with you. I want to extend and acknowledge my gratitude to all of those who serve and who have served in the past and who are serving right now, today, all around the world as peacekeepers, as people who are working in our name as Australian citizens wherever they find themselves. And it's an honour that for us all to be here in a time of peace, in a time of freedom, in a time where we can be together as citizens in a very just and free democracy, and for the 2024 ANZAC Youth Vigil in the South. And it's a great way to recognise and acknowledge that this year's theme is to discover the stories of veterans in your local community by sharing them tonight with our young people, and to deliver and be part of this beautiful story of what it means to be the inheritors of the ANZAC tradition. And to be an inheritor, you do need to be able to listen to the story. So I encourage anyone here tonight to talk to people who you know who have served. Maybe there's people in your family. I know there are people here who baked brownies, people like Kim Davis, who has also served for us. This event makes its first appearance in the City of Onkaparinga back in 2003, and I do want to acknowledge Gay Thompson, a former member for Raynell, who's here today with her family, and for others who worked with her, and including people who served during the Second World War, who are no longer with us, who were part of those early attempts, and now this has come to fruition all those years ago. We continue to commemorate men and women who have lost their lives, and I'm especially thinking of those who lost their lives in the 4 years subsequent to the original landing on Gallipoli during World War I. And perhaps some of you here have travelled to those war-torn parts of the world and have been in the places where people have lost their lives and had the ultimate sacrifice, whether it was in World War II, in Malaya, in Vietnam, East Timor, Afghanistan, and all the many peacekeeping operations that have been conducted over the years. I've had my own friends who have served in those places in all sorts of ways, who've made contributions on the field and in communications and intelligence agencies. So we do need to remember everyone who makes the sacrifice, not just those who are on the front line. All the nurses, the doctors, the people who heal many years later, the mental health workers, the people in our hospitals today that continue to serve and support those who have served us in wartime and in peacekeeping. We're really proud that the young Onkaparinga residents, young people like Ellie, who are active in our civic life, people like Callum Barrett-Walsh and others who have worked together to benefit our community, whether they've been the ones behind the kitchen, perhaps people helping transport, family members tonight, teachers and friends who have enabled all of our young people to be here together. We really value and appreciate all that you do to make this event a very significant piece of our calendar in the city of Onkaparinga. I feel very proud and privileged that this continues to happen year in and year out, and I too have an enormous amount of hope with the young people that I get to meet with, I get to see, but most of all that I get to listen to and hear their dreams for the future. And it's incumbent on all of us who are citizens, who are able to cast our votes, to be democratic, to hold our democracy together, and that is indeed what the ANZAC spirit was all about, fighting for democracy. So with all of that, I'd like to thank you for coming, and also to declare now that the 2024 Vigil commemoration ceremony and our time to be in Vigil begins now.
Guard Commander, please change over the Honour Guard.
Honor Guard, attention! Honor Guard, clear, turn! Honor Guard, clear, march! Honor Guard, outwards first!
You're right.
All honor guard, attention! You honor guard, take march! All honor guard, form up! All honor guard, quick march! Honor guard, outwards turn!
I call upon Vigil Chair Callum Barrett Walsh to return to the lectern to close the evening.
Thank you, Hayden and Urger. As this commemorative ceremony of remembrance draws to a close, I want to thank everybody for supporting our young people, giving them the opportunity to pause, reflect, and share gratitude for the selflessness and generosity of the ANZACs that continues to inspire us all. It is especially important we remember that at this time it is not only wars that associate risks to our service people, but it is their everyday duties, training and risking their lives for our safety. For this we say a heartfelt thank you. To our young people, thank you for your service and commitment, with many of you spending the whole of the night standing guard around this cenotaph in the lead up to the dawn service. If there is one message I can share with you all tonight, it is to take a minute to reflect and consider, how can I ensure the ANZAC legacy forever lives on? As young people, we play an important role in shaping our future, working towards creating a society filled with love and peace and less conflict and grief. We need to come together to continue building on our Australian story, keeping at the forefront of our minds the spirit of the ANZACs. Courage, mateship, ingenuity, endurance and good humour. Let us work together using these pillars to address the challenges of our time, from reconciliation, climate change to social inequality. In closing, I would like to share the following message inspired by Paul Keating and heard in the introduction to the spirit of the ANZAC song. It was eerie, gruesome, tiring, yet not once could one give up. As guns fell silent, there was one less man coming home, one more partner's life torn apart, children in tears, and a community in grief. We do not know this Australian's name, and we never will. We do not know his rank or his battalion. He may have been one of those who believed that the Great War would be too grand to miss. He may have felt that he would never live down the shame of not going. The unknown soldier honours the memories of all those men and women who laid down their lives for Australia. We lost more than 100,000 lives, but we have gained a legend and a deeper understanding of what it means to be Australian. So keep telling the stories of our ANZACs and keep that legend living on for those who served, their families and for our country. Thank you. For those of you who have been invited to our supper, we ask that you please make your way to the Morphett Vale Bowling Club, located behind us. Some young people will be able to assist you if you require any support getting there. We hope to see many of you at the dawn service tomorrow and are expecting a large crowd to join in the commemorations. With extensive road closures in place, we advise that you arrive at 5:30 a.m. for a 6 a.m. start. Have a good night and please get home safely.